Good space time, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast, a source for educational insights into the Web3 universe and your connection hub to discovering the people that contribute to building the decentralized world. Today, we are joined by Leo Treasure from MoneyEvery3Days. We discuss Bitcoin and its lack of innovation, the ICO bubble, and crypto and cannabis. We touch upon the banking system as a moral hazard, taxpayers on the hook, and ownership of your money. Finally, we talk about how people treat other people, stability around the world and the future norm, and the boom-bust cycle. If you enjoy the Citizen Web3 podcast, please share this episode to your favorite social platform and help us spread Web3 values into the universe.
There were NFTs selling for millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars even. There's never going to be a privacy aspect anymore to Bitcoin. It's completely surveilled by law enforcement and exchanges. It really comes to how people treat other people. Like, how do the people with money want to treat the people who don't have money? And to have some stability in a world where stability is not going to be the norm.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast. Today, I have a validator with me. We're going to do another interesting, I hope, validator interview. I'm very well prepared for it and very well hyped for it. Leo from MoneyEvery3Days. Hi, how are you, man?
Hey, Serge, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, man. It's a nice, lovely day where I am. I mean, unfortunately, on the camera, you can't see it because I'm, as always, in my dark studio in my little castle. Leo, what about you? How is the weather wherever you are based? Tell us all about it. Where are you? And how did you get into Web3, man? This is the strong, difficult question. Where are you and how did you get here?
Well, I go back pretty early on from the I've got roots in Bitcoin, so I started kind of diving down the Bitcoin rabbit hole quite early on, and was mining Bitcoin, and back in the days when you could do it on your graphics card, and from Bitcoin I found out about Ethereum, and I didn't invest in the Ethereum initial sale, but I mean, I was following all the stuff like with the ICO bubble, and around then that's when I started to get into Tezos, and then with the NFT kind of bubble, I guess we can call that a bubble, where there were NFTs selling for millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars even. And I mean, that's when I was kind of learning about NFTs and the Web3 stuff in Tezos.
So you had like this perfect journey, pretty much. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos. And when I say perfect, it's like, you know, blockchain level 1, blockchain level 2, blockchain level 3. Usually people either straight away jump to, you know, Polkadot, Cosmos, Tezos, NFTs or whatever, DeFi. They skip the Ethereum, Bitcoin stage. Now you have this, I would assume, a good understanding then. But I have a question for you about Bitcoin. Today, I mean, I'm personally also from a little bit of the older blockchain people who remembers how it all was, and whether it was good or bad, of course, is a subjective opinion. But you know what? At least to me personally, it seems that what Bitcoin, and I don't want to by any chance, you know, say anything negative here. It's a question. You know, things around Bitcoin have changed a lot. And in the beginning, Bitcoin was leading the industry, attracting people, leading decentralization. The narrative today, again, personal subjective opinion, is slightly different, even negative, in a little bit religious, I would say, in some places. What's your take on that? What's your take on Bitcoin today and on the narrative that it's projecting to the rest of the industry?
Well, I certainly think Bitcoin has failed to be a medium of exchange, and like be a decentralized medium of exchange, and it's kind of failed in adapting, I guess, and integrating new technologies. Like there's never going to be a privacy aspect anymore to Bitcoin. It's completely surveilled by law enforcement and exchanges. That may be a good thing if the goal is to catch criminals. But I mean, Bitcoin's just not able to innovate, like and that the way that it's chosen to scale, I just can't see it working. I can't see Bitcoin being used to buy coffee, but there's certainly other blockchains that are, I think, more well positioned to.
I must say in protection of what I just said previously, because again, it's more of a subjective opinion. Like, I mean, I can say openly, where I live, for example, and I did notice we had this huge Bitcoin conference, and I'm not a Bitcoin fan, but we do run as a validator Bitcoin bridges and Bitcoin nodes, even bare metal, but still, that's a different thing. It's personal opinion. And the thing is, I'm going to say, I live in a small place, and after this conference, I found out that there is 70 businesses on the island, including coffee places, that directly accept Bitcoin. And to me, that was a big surprise. I don't know, how's it in Australia? Do they have a lot of vendors accepting Bitcoin?
No. There's very few. I'm certainly in my state, I can't think of a single place that accepts. I can think of one place, probably a gin bar, but it's not practical. I mean, Bitcoin fees are what, like $10?
Wait, the gin bar is very practical. At least you can go and, if it's like really bear market, fuck it, just go to the gin bar and
sure, if you settle your tab at the end of the night and buy a lot of gin, it might be worth paying.
can invest into gin, and it's another thing, right? But Leo, how did you get into all of this? I mean, you said your crypto journey, but how did you even get to crypto? How did you arrive in Web3? What was the thing that drew you to here?
Well, a curious mind, I guess. My friend was telling me about the way that Bitcoin works with its limited supply, and it was at that time being used as a black market thing, like the Silk Road, and that just kind of piqued my curiosity. Like, there's something that people are using this alternative financial system for, and a lot of people actually, the majority of people in that black market were cannabis users, and I was using cannabis at that time, and I just thought, I mean, cannabis use is pretty much a victimless crime, and so yeah, I mean, Bitcoin was like the perfect currency for people to get access to cannabis, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I think Silk Road has definitely been a big gateway point for so many people who are into crypto. I don't know if it's ironic or not, because and everybody, all my listeners, I think, know that I'm a cannabis user. I can say that. I say it openly. There is live sessions where I smoke, and I have nothing to hide. We had, and I don't care, but it is what it is. But it's, I guess, so socially, let's look at the stigma of society, right? It's a bit ironic that this industry that is supposed to make big change in finance and in governance, right, comes from Silk Road, right? I mean, I'm trying to play a little devil's advocate here, right? But it is a little bit ironic, I guess.
We've got a lot of similarities. I mean, we're kind of like an outcast in mainstream society. People don't quite get us or get what we're trying to fight for. But yeah, there's certainly a crossover between the two communities.
And this is actually my next question for you. You said very good words. It's a very big aspect of the podcast, I guess. Trying to fight for. What are you personally trying to fight for? What is that? What are you talking about? Tell me more.
Well, cryptocurrency is, for me at least, it's about taking ownership of your funds, of your money, and and being responsible for safeguarding them. So you're not relying on any other person or entity to look after things for you. It's very much the opposite of the banking system that we've got. And I always thought that the banking system is just very bad, like in terms of moral hazard, where the taxpayers are on the hook for excess um, excess speculation and the boom bust cycle that can cause as well. So I always think cryptocurrency is kind of like it's an important alternative, and I'm fighting for people to have an alternative to the banking system.
Okay, let's carry on the devil's advocate a little bit because it's a good point in my opinion here. It's a question I ask often, but I usually ask it much later during the show, but it's a good place to ask it, I think. Considering you just mentioned how long you've been in this industry as well, do you think that, I mean, you mentioned very important things, like very big aspects of whether somebody considers them to be political or society like related or philosophical, it doesn't matter, right? We can slap any tag on it. We understand what we're talking about. But the question is this: do you think for, people, and when I say people out there, I mean, it doesn't matter if they heard about Bitcoin or not, but, people there that live their everyday life, and I don't mean just in Australia or in Portugal or in, what we as a society refer to as first world developed countries, because that's the least of the world. It's not the most. So do you think that those things we are here fighting for in this industry and for the past already 15 years, right? I mean, okay, I don't know if we can count right from 2009, but let's say 10 years, right? From the last 10 years. Do you think that it changed anything for anybody? And I don't mean people who use crypto. Of course, for people who use crypto, it changed a lot of things. But honestly, hand on the heart, do you think, this is devil's advocate question because I'm just like you, but I want to know your opinion. Do you think that what those things you're mentioning for have we achieved it, at least for one person out there who is not using crypto today or wasn't using crypto before and using crypto has changed that fight for him? Do you think it's real?
I do, because although not everybody has started using crypto, now there is at least the option to, and anybody who's missed the boat on crypto, like they see that there's something there. They see there's something they've missed out on, and I think people like that are going to seek out opportunities in crypto, and I think they will do well when they do.
I understand. I agree. I'm more curious. I mean, doing well. I have no doubt that there will be opportunities coming and going. And especially the longer you are in the crypto market. I always try to say, people don't FOMO. Well, everybody FOMOs, but it's okay. It's normal. If you don't FOMO, you're weird, because well, then you're not a human being. You're a robot then. But or you have no feelings. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how not to do that. But the question is more about not doing well. Okay, people will do well or bad, but do you think that that same thing that the banking system has brought, and I'm not going to I know the banking history very well, at least I like to think so, and I'm not going to protect anything here, but I'm sure that somewhere along the line, the Medici, okay, maybe not the Medicis, but I don't know, whoever else, somewhere in the 18th or the 17th century, maybe they were not all that bad. Maybe their thing wasn't to like, maybe somebody was, but not everybody was, right? And in crypto, it's the same. But I'm just afraid sometimes when I look at it that, you know, yeah, it's about the money, not about other things. And that's the question. Do you think there is more people out there who are hoping not just to succeed, but to change things and really, yeah, I think that I'm going to put a full stop to the question. But yeah.
I think there's a lot of there's a lot of no. I mean, people will realize when they get crypto and it's in their own wallet, they have an advantage that they didn't have before with having money in a bank or a stock investment account. Yeah.
I think I think I understand what you mean, because I think incentive and reward plays. It's funny to say that, but it does play a huge role. Sometimes we like to, like, oh, no, 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 let's not talk about the money separate, whatever. Or let's talk about the money but it's okay, because I think that, I mean, I have to be honest. If I 10 years ago or whatever, 12 years ago, whenever I started my journey, if it didn't financially change what it did change for me, I wouldn't have been here today, or maybe I would have, I don't know. But I understand what you mean. I guess that's what you mean, right? That it helps.
You're right. Everybody in crypto starts their journey because they're interested in the financial aspect. I mean, when I first found out about Bitcoin, it was interesting to me because it had a market price. And I could see the price was changing every day, and it was changing very rapidly.
Sometimes too rapidly.
It was crazy, crazy volatile. And I mean, nowadays, Bitcoin's kind of a bit more boring. I mean, especially for a lot of people who have been in the market for a while, because it's not so volatile anymore. But I think that's a good thing for, like, to have some stability in a world where stability is not going to be the norm for a lot of people.
When I was a kid studying philosophy in college, I used to have a favorite quote: "Insanity is a perfectly rational adjustment to an insane world." I think it was my favorite quote from. I don't remember who said that, which philosopher, but I always kind of found it correlating with the world we live in and all the. But yeah, but it's definitely. I
It's
mean,
a great one.
oh, sorry. Go on, go on, go on, go on.
Oh, no, it was nothing. I was just saying that's a great quote.
Thanks. No, I was just going to carry on your thought and agree, to the point that I think when a person wants to change something, of course, when you're, and I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to put stigmas out there, but when I'm judging by myself, when I, was a slave to a system where, I could not afford even an hour of my life to do what I really want, how can you fucking change anything when you are just, digging the same, mine every, and I'm not talking about blockchain mining here, of course, every fucking day. And at the end of the day, well, if you don't have the time and the resource to do that, it's very difficult to get out of that wheel, right? Like and of course I agree that finance helps. I understand. Um, a question: your name of your validator, MoneyEvery3Days. Now that's a very ballsy name, I must say, very loud. A question. Talk me through it. How did it happen? Very loud name. I like it.
Well, I got the idea from a meme. It was the Batman, I think, slapping Robin. Um, and I can't quite remember the top line. It was something like, uh, um, might have been talking about the technology side of things, and the bottom line was money. It's money every 3 days, and that's what Tezos, like. That's the schedule for the rewards. They come in every 2.78 days. Two point, yeah, I think it's 2.74 or 2.78 days. So yeah, and it does kind of have that, I guess, kind of basic income connotation as well. I think, I'm a big fan of UBI. But it also kind of appeals, I think, to people who are looking for a passive income.
I definitely have actually quite a bit planned to ask you in that direction because, well, your website kind of talks about it and like at least you read it, even if it doesn't talk about it, kind of between the lines a little bit UBI. But before, still a couple of like chit chat questions to that I want. We always try. My mission is always try to understand, the operator, not just the validator, but the person who runs it, and I want to share with my listeners and hopefully with other people who gradually join in to listen to our podcast, to share the stories. And it's always interesting to dig in and to see how much of depth there is to it. And for example, just before we started recording, I'm seeing all this music equipment. So we kind of had a couple of words exchanged before we recorded about it. But if you don't mind, same question again. Talk me. This is quite serious music equipment that I'm seeing. Talk me a little bit about your music background experience. Unfortunately, the listeners can't see it, but it's good. It's there. It's cool. It's fucking awesome. Tell me a little bit about your background in music.
Thanks. So actually, the same guy who told me about Bitcoin told me about Eurorack gear, like synthesizers. And so, yeah, he showed me this place like you can go and build your own synth modules with a soldering iron and putting all the chips on the board. And it's, I mean, I've always loved electronic music, and I was composing a lot on the computer. But this is just like a whole other world where you're twisting knobs and plugging in patch cables. And it's just the crazy amount of the variety of sounds you get out of it. It's mind-boggling.
What software do you use?
Oh, I mostly use Ableton Live, and sometimes I use Bitwig.
Ableton Live is a fucking huge. It's a massive thing. It's so. I mean, and when I say massive, as in like literally in terms of size, it's just that program is so. I have a problem with it yet. I'm still very young when it comes to music production, but it's yeah. Ableton scares me a little bit.
I started off on Reason actually.
Okay.
I really liked that.
Okay, it's less scary for sure. No, but I mean, I'm myself into music production a little bit, and my partner is more, and she's a DJ, and we're both into sound, of course, and I love anything to do with music. We have musical instruments around the house. A lot of my friends are into music production and either amateur DJs or semi-professionals DJ, but it's something that is a big part of my life, so I totally can relate to it. And show me, this is nice bass line.
This is my most favorite synthesizer at the moment.
Why?
It's a very gnarly sounding bass, and it's got distortion and detune. It's a very flexible kind of. It's got a 16-step sequencer, and you can come up with random patterns on the fly. It's a very flexible. It's called Bassline, and it's by Erica Synths for your listeners.
Nice, thank you. And but for all the listeners, everything we mentioned, me and Leva, there you can find in the show notes link. So we will definitely mention that. And if you're interested in music, you should be. If you're not, no, I'm joking, guys. Of course, it's up to you. But this is another, by the way, interesting touch point. Mention Silk Road, and usually when we talk crypto with other validators, with founders, Silk Road is usually the first thing to mention because, well, it is what it is, right? But ironically, music is something that I can tell you that electronic music especially is something that crypto people have in common. And I'm especially validate people who are into the industry, like founders, validators, researchers. I would say 75% that people that I speak to or that I've met in the past 10 years have been doing some amateur digital DJing or production like myself. It's interesting also, right? That is another connection. Maybe it's our generation, fuck knows.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because we're all interested in technology.
Technology's got the word techno in it, technically.
Yeah, we're all technical
There
people.
we go. There we go. Leo, a question. A little bit moving to thesis. Usually we on the show, we sometimes talk a lot about projects. And usually I prefer talking about specific projects to people who don't build them directly. So for example, like yourself, because then you have a much more clear opinion, in my opinion, sober opinion, and you're able to say constructive criticism that sometimes founders find difficult to let go of. So Tezos is not a project we have discussed over the 4 years many times on the show, yet before I let you like to take it, just from my perspective, even though I have had at least questions with all the big scandal that was years ago with the financing, Tezos was the first programmable computer, self-programmable computer, self-upgradable, computer, to say it correctly, excuse me. And it was a phenomenal white paper. And for anybody out there who was looking for things, it didn't make Tezos didn't become as huge as I think I was at least expecting it to become, but it is a top project. It is definitely a project with an original idea that didn't, everyone does it now, but Tezos came up with it, at least in the white paper. Maybe they didn't implement it first, but they did come up with it. And let's talk a little bit about Tezos, even though we don't do a lot of project talk on the podcast. But I would like to hear from your perspective, why Tezos? What's special about it? And anything else you want to like shill me Tezos a little bit. Let's do some shilling, but feel free to do some constructive criticism as well, of course,
Sure.
if you come into it.
Before I do start shilling Tezos, I just want to push back a bit on what you said about now every other blockchain does the what was it, the upgrading, was it?
The self-upgradable thing. Not every, sorry. I kind of like put it in a big blew my words out of there, but myself, sorry. But
yeah, I just wanted to point out that Tezos is still the only blockchain, as far as I'm aware, that can upgrade in the way that it does. So every other blockchain, as I understand, they pick up a block level and they say at this level, we're going to hard fork to the software that is this version. Whereas in Tezos, it's quite special because the protocol has already been proposed and voted on, and the code is actually distributed to all the validators, and it upgrades automatically. Like, there's no hard fork. There's literally no hard fork. So what makes Tezos special? I mean, that is one thing, but really I think what makes Tezos special is its ability to scale, and scale in a decentralized way. So the way that Tezos has kind of gone, like the direction they've gone with scaling, is to scale vertically and have basically one big roll-up. I mean, there's the ability to have multiple different roll-ups, but the main thing about the roll-up is that it's enshrined. So there's no other token needed. You only need Tezos. You don't need any extra. So the incentives really make it much more workable and less likely for fragmentation.
It's an interesting point you mentioned, about, I don't know if we're going to go into it, like, because it's a whole different topic about upgrades. I was actually, yesterday, I actually met up with a developer from, I would say it's not a small project. It's a project, I mean, face to face, we had a coffee and we were talking actually about that problem that, it's still, regardless of how the architecture upgrade is designed, it's still very difficult today for a validator to be sure that the binary he's going to open is not going to contain some sort of whatever it is. And that problem is still not solved. Of course, that's nothing to do with Tezos. That's to do with computing. There are some, he was mentioning some interesting progress in that direction. But yeah, it's definitely a huge topic. But I'm curious, how is the validator set in Tezos? Is it because I am really not as familiar as I would like to be, and I should be, and I will definitely something I need to change considering what we're building today. Is it more of a validator set that interact, like smaller validators interacting with each other, operators, or a mixture of industrial retail, or how does it work with the validators in Tezos? Well, what's the today's situation at least?
So there's around 400 validators in the set, and I'd say maybe 10. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. 10 of them are run by the foundation, and there's obviously the big exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken. They all run validators, and there's a lot of small validators. So the minimum you need to start up a validator is about 6,000 Tezos, which is probably about $10,000 US. Well, maybe 9,000. Sorry. It's very cheap to be a validator.
Which is not that bad. It's not bad at all comparison to a lot of the networks out there. I'm sorry to cut in there, but it's definitely not a lot.
It's accessible and it's decentralized. That's one of the things that kind of drew me to it as well. It's like they really care about decentralization. They're making it quite achievable for people to actually bake their own blocks.
Let's talk about a little bit about like validators and decentralization. Now you have mentioned, well, not mentioned, but as you were talking, I mean, at least I think it's easy to pick up that, you know how to use a solderer, and you understand a little bit of, the hardware, how it works, and, what goes where, electronics. I mean, I guess I'm making an assumption here, but because you're smiling, I think my assumption is right?
No, I'm actually terrible with electronics. I failed.
No, I was bad. Damn it. Damn, man. This is how bad I did it. But still, the question is, I'm still gonna ask the question: are you running validator bare metal or cloud? What's your setup?
Bare metal.
Ah, you see, my assumption was correct.
Partially correct.
You look like a bare metal guy. To me. We are also bare metal. Talk me through. Of course, I'm not need to know the secrets of your setup, but let's talk a little bit about running a validator bare metal, and for you personally, what has been the difficulties, the challenges, the good things, the bad things?
Yeah, absolutely. The hardware I use is just a simple NUC or NUC. I don't know how you say it. Just a little box mini PC. Any kind of mini PC is enough. You probably need about 16 gigs of RAM and 500 gigs of SSD hard drive and a ledger. So you got the keys kind of protected in a secure environment. And the frustrations, I guess, early on, I would miss some of the endorsements, and that was very frustrating because I had no idea why, and if it was something that was wrong with my internet. Oh, sorry. Also, a UPS. That's an uninterrupted power supply is pretty important, because if the power goes out, you don't want your computer to have a not clean shutdown. So yeah, the missing endorsements was annoying, but that's certainly gotten a lot better over time with the protocol upgrades. Now I might miss one endorsement maybe every 2 cycles, and I'm fine with that. That's negligible loss in reward.
I think it's worth saying here. At least I would like to definitely make this comment for people who are listening to this, and of course we have spoken, and not just me, and much more, I would say, knowledgeable people have mentioned this on the podcast. But I would like to say it: bare metal validators, it's difficult to get 100% uptime. It doesn't mean having 100% uptime that your validator you are seeing somewhere out there is it doesn't mean it means good, because there is a lot of like key signing software, right? For example, like we have Horcrux in Cosmos or TKMS, or there's other things, that actually lower the latency, and in a lot of I remember speaking to guests who even would make a brave statement of saying that if I'm seeing a validator with 100% uptime, I would never delegate to them, because something is cannot be right. Because if he's got a right setup with Sentry nodes, and they've got, I don't know, key management system and something else, and he's bare metal, there is no fucking way in the world he's gonna have 99.8, 99.9, whatever, but not that 100. And it's an interesting point that people are sometimes still afraid. Like, of course it's nicer to strive towards something that works 100%, but yeah, then we have to, I think, balance between decentralization and okay, if I'm running in cloud in AWS, I'm probably gonna get 100%, with one server somewhere. But yeah, this is the decentralization price we pay, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Tezos is, in the next protocol upgrade, going to reduce the block time from 15 seconds currently down to 10 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see how that latency plays out, and if we'll see any more missed endorsements or attestations than ever.
From our experience, for you, it will be like more misses, because we run, for example, networks like with high throughput. Like, for example, I think Evmos is the one we run with a super high throughput. And so far, we haven't moved it to bare metal, because we already, the setup we're using with the key management system is already causing us all sorts of headaches. And they have a super fast blocks that like go bam, 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 bam. And we are kind of wary of moving it to bare metal now, because we understand we're gonna go even more missing blocks. So we kind of like, meh. But anyways, I hope that it works out better for you. Do you run, by the way, any other networks, or just Tezos?
Just Tezos. There was another project that actually forked Tezos code, which is a pretty cool project. It's called Decentralized Pictures, and it's like a film funding platform. And I was running a node on that, but I wasn't open to delegation. It was just a project I like to support, because films.
Nice. Do you have any plans?
I'd like to make a film one day, I think, maybe about crypto.
I had this crazy idea once years ago. Maybe this will help. But this was during the ICO stage. We had with some friends a crazy idea. I mean, we were pretty stoned when we came up with it, but it is what it is. To make a crypto movie, from the first stage of the idea of the ICO to the very implementation, but actually following developers with real footage and like, yeah, maybe a bit too private, but it was one of those.
A crypto documentary would be so good, like especially if it's like a mockumentary, maybe like with comedy. I think people would love to watch stuff like that.
Absolutely, especially if it's something with comedy, for sure. I mean, crypto is. I mean, we always take it with a smile, right? You look at it and you're like, I've just spent $100 on gas, and I don't have the money to put petrol in my car. But hey, well, that's life, Leo, what about one topic that we haven't talked about, a big topic that I did promise to you also, and I have here questions to ask you about it. You mentioned it, UBI, but I'm gonna kind of wrap it in a bigger topic, and I'm gonna write. I guess that validators on each network come into the same problems, and one of them is, of course, delegations. And of course, every validator builds their own. Somebody works with foundations, somebody goes work with retail, somebody, I don't know, mixes it, somebody tries to build their community around some sort of idea. I'm assuming yours is around, I'm going to make that assumption, please correct me if I'm wrong, UBI. But before there, please first of all correct me if I'm wrong, and two, before we talk about that, what is for you UBI? Can you L5 that, really break it down, and why we need it?
That is a big question.
I know.
So,
Sorry.
so firstly, I haven't really put a lot of conscious thought or planning into bringing this concept to a UBI like platform, but I think there's definitely the potential there to do that. And what is UBI? I mean, unconditional basic income. A lot of people call it universal basic income, but I mean the unconditionality of it is really key. I mean, I was on benefits in my younger years for quite a long time, and we have this thing in Australia called mutual obligation, where if you get the payment, you're expected to go and look for work. But it was just completely inefficient and very degrading. And so often what people would do is apply for jobs that they just have absolutely no interest in and are completely unqualified for. Because it's just all you're doing is you're filling out a form saying, oh yeah, I've checked the box. And it really comes to how people treat other people. Like, how do the people with money want to treat the people who don't have money? And unfortunately, we have a kind of attitude here in Australia where we don't treat people who don't have money very well, and they often don't get the help that they need. There's a lot of mental health issues. So, I mean, a UBI would improve people's attitudes towards getting or doing productive things in society, I think. There's always the argument that comes up that people will just do nothing and take drugs and waste their lives. But I mean, there's a lot of studies that show that that's not the case. When people are not having to constantly stress about the next paycheck, they do make better decisions. And, yeah.
I'm going to bring a different argument for you. I'm going to say it in one line. Guns don't kill people. People do. What I'm trying to say is that, like, okay, I want to understand your thinking. That's why I'm going to dig a little bit around into it. Like, okay, let's say that, theoretically, UBI, we make the assumption that UBI will not make people lazy. I actually agree with that, by the way. What I don't is that it will change opinions, because I think, people are greedy by default. People are, unfortunately, our society, our educational system, I mean, we teach kids that farmers are hillbillies because they own land and because they're independent of the grid. We are scared of them. We are scared of our own shadow sometimes. So we're scared to say the wrong word, in case we offend somebody. So my argument here to you would be, okay, I totally agree with you that it would not make people lazy. We are already lazy in killing people and taking drugs. That's not going to change. But that's my argument. Like, do you think that the UBI would really change our thinking and our, like, I mean, our thinking will still be there. Okay, so today I'm thinking that, I don't know, tigers are bad. By the way, I think tigers are cool. Tigers are bad. If somebody gave me $3,000 every month, I would still be thinking tigers are bad. Wouldn't change my opinion about them. Again, devil's advocate, but what do you think about that?
Look, there's people. There's a scale of how to do UBI, right? and a lot of people will kind of like just latch onto like, oh, you want to give unlimited money to everybody, and like all hell will break loose. So there's definitely a midpoint where where a basic income makes sense, and um, there's going to be people who, well, and changing your opinion, I guess. I'll just stick with the work thing because I don't know how to bring tigers into this. um, but trying to change people's attitudes to being productive, I think if we stop treating people like there's something wrong with the way that they're doing stuff, that will definitely change their opinions or their outlook um, to everything. It'll make a huge change, and I think people will be they will have the time then when they're not constantly in this state of, oh, I need to do this to get some money, and it's complete bullshit and people are treating me like dog shit. I think people will, with all that free time, they will be able to more easier find something that clicks for them.
I definitely agree with you that, the goal is to have a better society and to change those opinions. I do, however, think that 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 will change with us growing balls, changing the abolishing the educational system, not changing. There's nothing right about it at all. It's just a huge piece of block that was there designed for a very, like the marriage institute. It was designed thousands of years ago for a completely, I'm not saying that it shouldn't exist, but there should be some updates. I mean, we've lived here for a few thousand years, but no, but then to go with what you say, I mean, you mentioned people are scared that everything is gonna break loose if you give them a limited money supply. Well, damn it, let me break it down to you. We've been having that for the past however 100 years. They gave us an unlimited money supply when the Federal Reserve in the 70s, kind of canceled the golden standard. We kind of have an unlimited money supply, and all hell is broken loose. Damn it!
That happened. Absolutely right.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're right about
I agree with you.
the education system is very narrow focused, and we've got the internet now. Sure, it's good to have like places where people can be around other people and build people skills. That's a good thing. Sure, we should probably still keep schools around, but then there needs to be a radical update. Like universities cost so much money, and they're very not fit for purpose. Like unless you happen to be like academic, like there's a small percentage of people that model works for, and it doesn't work for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to see the differences. When you especially if you're uh, bilingual or multilingual, and then you even go on a Wikipedia page of different. And I'm not saying that it's a good or a bad thing, but we sometimes ask ourselves, why are people afraid of things? Why are people like, and well, since you're a little kid and for the 25 first years of your life, all you've been taught is to be quiet, shut up, raise your hand if you want to ask questions, and then your opinion should be based on other opinions that have been expressed before. And then we think, oh well, why we have such a society? Well, maybe that's one of the reasons. Maybe trying to kind of, I definitely agree. But by the way, going back to UBI, do you think that stake and rewards, because this is interesting. A lot of people would of course say, oh no, this is not UBI because I have to go, it's not passive. Now, do you think that stake and rewards are a form of UBI?
Um, no, no, because you've got to put something at stake, and UBI is more about the conversation of money redistribution in the context of government spending. Well, yeah, government spending, and like, because at the moment, I mean, we do have like a basic income for people, but we've put all these conditions, and so it's more about making it more efficient and getting rid of all those forms. And I mean, that's going to get rid of jobs, people who work in that sector, but it will streamline a lot of the distribution.
I understand what you mean by that, and it's in a very. I think it's going to be a very. A lot of people say, "Oh, we live." Sorry, I'm going to change the sentence there a little bit, but a lot of people say that, all our time scary to live in. I think it's actually super interesting. I think we're super lucky. I think to see how these things will evolve, like AI, blockchain, UBIs, all that. We live in a time of crazy changes, I think, and I think we got very lucky to live in that.
Certainly.
And yes, sometimes it's not easy, of course.
Also a scary time though, like with all the climate stuff going on at the moment. It is very scary.
Yes. But I don't think it's possible, to have interesting things and not be, I mean, things that we are scared of is usually something we don't know. So that's why we are scared of it, right? It's like, oh, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to go. And I understand you're talking about a little bit different things, but I think that makes it interesting, that curiosity, and fear are the biggest drivers we have as human beings, like, oh my God, what is it? Ooh, I'm so scared. I want to go see, But kind of like one last question before I jump into the blitz. So for us to wrap up, what do you think the role of a validator in all of this? We spoke about, a little bit, but about some bigger topics. What do you think the role of a validator, not particularly yours, maybe, not how you see your personal role, but in all of this story?
I think the role of the validator should be to decentralize further. So to provide resources for people who want to also become a validator. And yeah, I mean, it's a point of failure to be a validator. It's a very critical point of failure. And so it's incumbent on validators to decentralize and get more people to become validators as fast as possible. Because there will come a time, I'm sure, where governments would just be like, we've had enough of validators not implementing sanctions or whatever kind of control they want to assert on blockchains. Just recently in our country, they were suggesting that validators staking nodes should do sanctions. So like, it is coming. So I think it's very important for validators to decentralize and get rid of the points of failure.
I agree. It's again a huge point of discussion. Separate, I mean, discussion decentralizing validators, and we on the show over the past year or so, not the first years, we had several teams from different ecosystems that are. It's interesting. I can't see that the solution is there, but it's interesting to see how they try to actually decentralize the entity. Somebody does it via DAOs, somebody does it via redistributing income. It's cool. It's cool to see that the wheels are slowly turning. But yeah, totally. To jump to the blitz, Leo, I have 5 questions for you. They're a bit weird, as people have been saying, but we like them. So first one, very simple. For example, blockchain is a direction, technological direction. Give me another technological direction that interests you apart from blockchain.
Oh.
Sound engineering, music.
No, actually, I haven't been doing as much music lately because of tinnitus, unfortunately. um, it, as soon as it goes away, I'm going to start getting back into it. But probably, sorry, I know this is supposed to be
No, it's okay, man. It's
faster.
okay. No, you don't have to be fast at all.
Okay. I think image generation.
Wanna expand on that, or just leave it at full stop? Image generation.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to expand. I mean, Midjourney is just great, and I think it's only going to get better. And um, I think it's going to open up the possibility of creating art for a lot of people. And and obviously, like there's the thing about um, it might take away a bit from artists, um, but I think it will inspire a lot of creativity, and people will learn more and appreciate more about the arts, and people will have these tools to create really interesting narratives and stories about, like, everyone's got a story to tell. So I think those tools are going to be very exciting.
Just the other day, we were messing with a sound generator as well tool, and just to say, those guys, if you haven't, go and check those things out. Those things are fascinating. What about one?
I was just playing with one yesterday.
Oh, go on to which one? Which one? Which one did you play with? Which one? Do you remember?
Oh,
Wasn't so? Was it
wasn't.
Sora?
It wasn't.
Was it Sora?
No. It wasn't Suno. It was like something like Suno CD or something. I'm going to have to. We'll drop it in the show notes if you like. One that I was.
Nice.
It was really
nice.
good. I was making songs about Tezos, of course, like rap songs. It's so good.
I was making fado songs about my cat. Fado is like a very sad Portuguese tune music, and it was making me songs about. It's crazy. You type in one line, and then it has like a whole. Crazy. What about one token apart from Tezos, of course? Of course, you can say Bitcoin, Ethereum, or anything else, but it would be a bit boring. Not boring in terms of it's boring, but it would be cool to hear something not on the radar. Again, not a token you're waiting to grow on, but something that you saw out there that is interesting. You mentioned that project that forked the code of Tezos, but is there anything else out there you're following?
Look, there's a token on Tezos. Sorry to be boring.
No, not at all.
But
It's good.
It's a token on Tezos called UBIS, and I should disclose that I do hold some of the governance token, but it's a decentralized finance synthetic assets platform. So they've got stable coins that are backed by Tezos, and it's got like Tezos kind of wrapped Bitcoin on there as well. And I just think they built a really solid platform in terms of, well, I mean, they do get kind of slow because they're doing everything decentralized. So the oracles are all very decentralized. Sometimes it can be a bit slow to load the price feeds and stuff, but they're working on a new version 2.0 that's supposed to be coming out soon. It's been supposed to come out soon for a while, but I'm very bullish on this project, UOS.
Nice. It's always actually cool to hear about the ecosystems developing in a lot of them, and it's nice because, like I said, Tezos isn't something we covered a lot over the past 4 years, so it's actually cool to hear about the ecosystem growing. Okay, the three last ones are going to be a bit weirder. They're going to be less technological and more abstract. So the first one is easy. Give me one movie or book or song that has been with you throughout how you remember yourself. Or movie or book or a song, something you remember from a childhood and you still kind of go back to it and watch it or listen to it or read it.
Oh, that's a tough one because I don't really listen to a lot of music
A movie?
with the tinnitus. No, I don't really rewatch movies
Okay.
that I.
Okay. It's a
Yeah.
fair one. It's a fair one. I like it. Okay, let's go to the next one. I like it, but it's also an answer. I think it's. I actually don't have one either. It's a small secret, and that's why I ask people to click onto theirs. But I don't have a favorite movie or a song or a book, to be honest. So I understand. The next one is, and those two are going to be even more weirder. No, wait, get ready for it. So the first one, give me one thing that you would like to share with other people that motivates Leo to get out of bed every day and to live his life, to fight the fight, to run nodes, to produce music, to do whatever it is you do every life, something motivational.
I've never really thought about that, so I'm going to have to come up with something quickly. I like to help people, and I feel like I don't have a lot of friends, but I just like to see who I can help today.
I can totally understand that, man, and relate to that. Like, I think being a validator and helping people kind of comes hand in hand a lot, at least for a lot of people. Some maybe, bigger industrial projects, I understand that it's different for them, but I totally understand what you mean. Okay, last one, I promise. Dead or alive, real or made up, doesn't matter. Could be somebody from that is realistic character. It could be a made up character. It could be a movie character. It could be a writer. It could be somebody from your family. Doesn't matter. A person, a persona, a person, a character that is not your idol, because I would like to avoid idols, but somebody who throughout your life, again, whether they're real or not, it doesn't matter, has had a positive influence on you. If there is somebody like that, of course.
Probably Julian Assange.
Okay, it's a good answer. I like it. Okay, strong answer. Why? I mean, I understand why, but what's your why?
Oh, he's just done the right thing, and and he's just been completely punished, and it's very unfair. I'd like to meet him.
I think it's a good note also to wrap, to say that we are definitely, this industry is missing a lot of people who are up to doing the right thing, and thank you for sharing your answers, of course, and having the time to join us. And it's just to say to all the listeners again, I've been saying this over and over again, but we had this one guest who wasn't from crypto. He was an author, a Liberty author, and I like to bring those guests on the show because I like to remind people that also in this industry we need to do the right things, like you say, like Julian Assange did, and I really think it's a good point here. But Leo, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your answers. I hope it was okay.
Happy to be on the show. Thank you so much, Serge.
Please don't hang up just yet. This is just goodbye for the listeners. Thank you, everybody. Tune in next time and see you later. Bye. This content was created by the Citizen Web3 Validator. You may support our work by delegating to any of our nodes.